a great deal. I used to, and I was right there with everybody. I used to say, when Dark Knight first came out, and I think that was really the impetus, the
Epicenter?
it's like the beginning of the end of when this book came. It was amazing, and even it's funny because I read an article on Frank Miller, and even he said the same thing. He made this character of Batman, which at this point up until then nobody had ever seen Batman in that way. If any of you have read The Dark Knight Returns, and he said this was just the reason it works and the reason I wanted to do it. I just wanted to show this guy who was as old as his legend. Like, if he started in the 30s and at that time in the 80s, he would probably be 70 or 80 at that time. So I just wanted him to make that old, and how he became sort of an old curmudgeon at that point. He didn't think he was going to start a whole new revolution of Batman never smiling, or Batman is probably the most depressed individual in the world because all you ever see of him is angry, and he's just straightforward. It's like, can we even have a casual conversation, you and me? Is that possible? But at the time, I thought that was so revolutionary, and I thought, why couldn't more comics be like this? And it's one of those, be careful what you wish for, because essentially that's what the industry is. Characters like that, characters like Wolverine would come in, and it just took over that term of anti-hero, which was unheard of at the time. You thought, well, maybe the Punisher was an anti-hero, but he was, and Wolverine maybe, but they were like the exception, not the rule. And now that is very much the rule, and there are very few exceptions. And I honestly, today, I miss how light and how frivolous comics used to be, and the idea of escapism. I don't think it applies as much anymore, because I feel there's too much reality in a weird way in comic books now. I don't read Batman so that I can see, legalities or just how Gotham City is a city that could be run and built and with corruption and this and that and that. I like the idea that there was a Joker or a Penguin or a Riddler lurking around, and you didn't really get too far into their psychology or the idea of who they are if they were real. And that's exactly what comic books are now. So I'm sad. I wish for the times when the Avengers would just have this revolving roster. Even now, it's funny. I tell people with this Black Panther stuff coming out, it's like, you know what? The thing that made Black Panther interesting, because he was sort of a B character, wasn't that he was in Wakanda. He was always in L.A., and you thought, this is a character that works because he's somewhere I can associate with. I've been trying to get into the Black Panther stuff coming out recently, and I just can't get into it because they're really focusing on Wakanda. And I'm like, I don't care about that. I care about T'Challa and his relationship with the Avengers or bumping into whomever and whatnot. Not that it's not an interesting premise and certainly fulfills whatever destiny people like of him, but I was just very into